Hey folks, welcome back to Only Best Fancy Novels. My name is Robin, and today I want to talk about one of my favorite books of this year, and that is, or one of the favorite books that I read this year, I should say, and that is Blood Over Bright Haven by M.L. Wang. And with this book, M.L. Wang has cemented herself as an author who I need to read all the things from. Like, I wasn't sure if Sword of Kaigen would be maybe a one-off. I saw a lot of people praising this book online and saying that, oh, it's really good, whatever. But it's dark academia, and which kind of sounds a little too YA to me. So I was kind of putting it off, but then I just decided to dive in, and holy crap, I really enjoyed this one. Anyway, what is this book even about? So we follow the character of Skiona, who is in the process of changing history, graduating as the first female high mage in Tyrian history. So as a gifted mage, she's immediately thrown into one of the biggest projects in recent history. But as is often the case when you don't look like a member of the status quo, simply getting your foot in the door is just the start of the fight. Like, if you've been there, you know exactly what I mean. And that's before the magic that she goes after in this story leads her down a very dark, very twisted path, from which there's going to be no return. Spoiler. Not really, but yeah. Anyway, so there's so much you can talk about with this book that I barely know where to be. Like Emma Wang, she goes straight for the jugular with this one. She has a lot of things to talk about. She includes them in a way that is both fascinating and engaging and terrible and captivating all in one go. And yeah, that's you can tell that's primarily what the story about, because it's just such a ingrained and deeply it's just such a deep part of this story that you can't really not discuss them. So let's get right into what I'm talking about. With this book, she essentially gives us a complicated main character surrounded by an almost one-dimensional cast of characters who they're literally just there for her to emphasize the themes and the ideas and the social concepts that she decides to play with in this book. And she goes straight for some high octane stuff. So the things that she dives straight into are things like gender relations, virtue signaling, bigotry, xenophobia, exploitation, hubris, religious zealotry. Like she goes right to it. Like these are all very, especially given the current situation, these are all very high octane, very relevant topics that she decides to incorporate in the story and have play out, so that we can. When I say play out, she presents these things. She doesn't go for or against any particular one of them. She just presents them within the context of her story, have them play out, and then we get to decide based on our individual morality if what was done was right or wrong. So that was really cool. And those things that I listed, that's not even the full list. I'm not even going to try to list the full list. Because that's just some of the big ones that I caught. And after a while I decided, okay, you know what? I'll leave at least something for readers to read for themselves. But why does it work? The characters. I have to start with Skiona because she is such a complicated, contradictory mess, as most real human beings are. She's not like a monolithic person with a few traits to her that works. So she has a big part of her story is her being the first female high mage, and that's amped up. But what we find is that she really just has a very selfish drive to it. She just wants to work with magic. That's the only thing she cares about, to the exclusion of all else. So it's like she almost completely lacks empathy where it comes to like her family, her friends, her and these kind of things. Like it's all about the magic for her. Like she's just obsessed essentially in the way that it and it's led her with the opportunities that were provided to this position. So there's that. And yes, her like essentially being the force in this whole patriarchal society is something that she does comment on as what she's as like a goal, but you can tell it's not the goal then. But what's cool about her is that as the story progresses and she essentially gets pulled out of her bubble, we get to see her become more empathetic and more introspective, and her eyes really, you can see her eyes slowly open, and she really begins to think and grasp on the situation that she not just is surrounded by, the world that she's surrounded by, but the situations that she creates in this story. Because one of the things about her is that despite the fact that she faced this type of opposition, she's also extremely bigoted herself. And we see that where it comes to the side character who is from one of the major races in the story. That Emma Wang also has some interesting things to play about, and we can, and of course I'm talking about the Quen, who are these they're just a race of people who are essentially they're her standing immigrants when it comes to the story. So they're fleeing something they call the Blight, and they come to Tehran essentially just literally just to be able to survive, to live, as their society and their people get decimated by this ecological phenomenon that's not understood. So they immigrate to Tehran, and what they find is a situation that's essentially it's like what most immigrants find is a system that's designed to take everything from them and give nothing back. They're given the worst jobs, the worst accommodations. They have little to no standing in society. They have little to no social power. These kind of things. They on top of that, no legal societal like standing really. On top of that, the Tehrans are they're religiously and socially indoctrinated to consider the Quen as less than human from birth, which is one of the reasons why our main character is bigoted. Like, she's part of the Terran society that has this bias, and they consider them little more than unintelligent animals. So there's that aspect to it, which you know, once again, racism and all of that, like it all plays a part in here. I'm not, like I said, I'm not even going to try to dive into everything that Emma Wang plays with in here. It's a lot, and she leaves it to you to decide where you fall on these topics. So we have this society, and we have the Quen who are just trying to survive, and then we have and who are slowly becoming Terran in the process, as all immigrants do, and then we have the people who consider themselves the real Terrans, who get the best of everything and leave nothing for the Quen. Once again, completely unfamiliar situation, right? So yeah, and then we have, and even within this supposed wonderful Terran society, we have a deeply unjust system within itself. Like I said, Emma Wang just goes for it in this book. Like, there's just so much packed in here, and it's all high octane stuff. She has like a deeply the Terran society itself that puts its people first is also a deeply unjust society that's ruled by a collection of humans who are they're essentially privileged patricians who they arbitrarily decide what's right and wrong. They can do they have the crutch of religion to justify their acts. They have they can be incompetent. They can literally fail tests that other people have to pass to be given opportunities. They can literally fail it, but once they're born to the right set of lines, they go scot-free, and they enjoy the best of everything, and they get to and they get stood up as the cream of the crop and the future rulers and that kind of thing. Like, they can literally fail, but privilege. Anyway, it just goes on. Like, the nepotism, it just goes on and on and on in this book. So yeah, and you know what's the crazy part? None of this is even spoiler territory when it comes to this story. This is just backdrop. This is just the world building. This is just her introducing the place that the story takes place in, the characters, the circumstances and all of that. The actual story itself, we we essentially have a slow burn mystery where Skiona dives deeper into inconsistency in the magic that she's performing, and as she dives deeper and deeper and deeper, she makes some startling revelations that have extreme societal impact, to say the least. And that's what it boils down to. It's a slow burn mystery, but it's so couched within all these other factors that you can't talk about this book without talking about those factors in some way. Like, to pull this book off, in addition to just playing with all these themes and concepts and ideas, Emil Wang just did a spectacular bit of writing combining fantasy and horror, because it is very much it is very horrific what she portrays here, to me at least, in this story. And even setting all of that aside, like, there's so many cool things about this book. Like, aside from the way her characters function and all of that, there's the magic itself, which reminds me very much of computer programming. Not that I know very much of computer programming, only what I've touched on tangentially over the course of my role, but that's the vibe it gave me. So a very complicated book with quite a lot to unpack. It's definitely one of those books, honestly, you could read it 2-3 times and you are probably going to find quite a bit more to talk about than you did the first, the second, or the third time that you read it. Not one to be missed. If I had any doubts that Sword of Kaigen was a one-off, this book killed them dead. Like I said, Emma Wang is clearly a very good author, and one who I'm going to have to read all the things from now, regardless of what she writes, because this is very different from Sword of Kaigen, but she just had so much going on. It was just an incredible read. Like, I think especially fans of R.F. Kuang's Babel, they're going to find a lot of what they liked about that book in this one. To put it mildly. So yeah, that's my take on Blood Over Bright Haven. You're probably going to see a lot of praise to this book online, and it's very much deserved. I enjoyed it tremendously, and I can easily see it staying. When I get around to making my best of 2025 list, I can easily see it having a very high position on those lists. Yeah, just a dark, disturbing book that it just has so much to say about so many topics, in so many high octane topics, that it's not one to be missed. Yeah, that's all I have to say about Blood Over Bright Haven. If you've made it this far into the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.